It has been a while. Thanks for your patience, and thanks for joining me again for another episode of On My Family Tree. This episode is called Fruit, 1990 to 2011. As I've stated before, I know that I have left out someone or something. Again, I apologize in advance. You may recall when we last got together, I left off in June of 1990, having met Karen Rivers at a singles retreat sponsored by West Angeles Church. Karen was a 5-year resident of Los Angeles at the time, a transplant from Detroit, Michigan. She's the youngest of 5 children born to Sylvester Leon and Pauline Cloud Rivers. Karen attended Cass Tech in Detroit, later graduating from the University of Michigan at Dearborn, and had just completed her MPA at USC 1 year before we had met. I bought my first home, a 1-bedroom condominium in Highland Park, in December of 1990, and began working on the family tree 6 months later. In April of 1991, I earned my MBA at Pepperdine University. 2 months later, I asked Karen to be my wife in San Francisco on the Golden Gate Bridge. We were married on July 25, 1992. I attended law school for 2 years between 1991 and 93 at the University of VERNE. However, I left before obtaining a law degree. Karen and I lived in that Highland Park condo for 2 years after we got married. Then, we moved to our first house together, 3015 North Santa Rosa Avenue in Altadena, and only 5 blocks away from my parents' home. In December of 1997, my oldest nephew, Christopher Roberts, became a father for the first time to a boy. His name is Desmond. Less than 1 year later, on September 21st, my wife Karen gave birth to our first child, also a son, Evan Alexander Wright. He was born at Huntington Memorial Hospital in Pasadena. His full name comes from both sides of his family tree. Evan is modified from the surname Evans, honoring that branch on my family line that traces back to the late 1700s in colonial Virginia. Alexander is the name of Karen's paternal great-grandfather. It was while we lived in Altadena that I taught Evan how to ride a bike without training wheels at Loma Alta Elementary School, the same place my father taught me back in the mid-1960s. 2002 was an eventful year. On January 10th, our second child, a girl, was born. We named her Allison Marie. Her first name is my sister Sandra's middle name, and her middle name is Karen's sister Lenny's middle name. Got it? 2 months later, Sandra got married again, this time to Sam Skipper Jr. In June of '02, my parents, Howard and Barbara Wright, celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary at the Acapulco restaurant in Pasadena, the same restaurant our family would go to for special dinners when Sandra and I were kids. On September 15th, Sandra's ex-husband, Mark Stephen Benjamin Roberts, the best man at my wedding, died in his sleep at his residence in Riverside. He was 55 years old. That same month, their son Christopher fathered his second child, this time a girl, Akasha. We resided in Altadena for 10 years. While we lived there, Evan attended the same preschool that I had gone to as a boy, Westminster Presbyterian. He also attended Mayhair Montessori School for kindergarten, and I was both Evan and Allison's t-ball coach at nearby Farnsworth Park. Sandra and Benji's second son, Chris's younger brother, Morgan, entered the U.S. Army in March of 2004, serving for 6 years, including 4 deployments to Iraq. In the spring of 2004, drawn by the appeal of top-ranked public schools, we bought a home in Arcadia. In August of the same year, Sandra's second husband, Sam Skipper, died. This was 2 months before Chris became a father for the 3rd time, and to a second girl, Kiera. In August of 2005, Karen's father, Sylvester Leon Rivers Sr., passed away. In November of 2007, Sandra and Benji's youngest son, Grant, married Jenica Munoz in Hawaii, celebrating their reception in December in Riverside. The following month, on January the 11th, 2008, my mother, Barbara Bowman Wright, passed away in her home with my father at her side. She is buried close to her parents at Mountain View Cemetery in Altadena. My father, now alone, resides at the home that he and my mother bought 48 years ago. In August of 2009, our family moved to our 4th home together in Temple City, with Evan and Allison still attending school in Arcadia. In May of 2010, Grant and Jenica had a baby girl, Rebecca. 5 years ago, in 2006, I made the family tree discovery that has enhanced my understanding of my African heritage, which will be the subject of my final segment. So join me next time when I present On My Family Tree, Diaspora, coming up next.